ここ、そこ、あそこ、どこ。In this lesson, you will be able to point and describe places, and you will be able to ask where. For example, ここはどこですか? Where is here? Demonstrative ここ、そこ、あそこ。ここ means here. そこ means there. あそこ means over there. ここ、そこ、あそこ are used according to the distance between the speakers and the object. Image of ここ、そこ、あそこ 1. When the speaker and the listener are distant from each other. ここ is close to the speaker. そこ is close to the listener. And あそこ is far from the both. Image of ここ、そこ、あそこ 2. When the speaker and the listener are close to each other. ここ is close to the speaker and the listener. そこ is a bit far from them. And あそこ is so far from them. どこ どこ means where. For example, 駅はどこですか? Where is the station? こそあど言葉こ group words are close to the speaker. So group words are a little far from the speaker. A group words are far from the speaker. Do group words means questions. これ、この、ここ。それ、その、そこ。あれ、あの、あそこ。どれ、どの、どこ。Collectively, these are called こそあど words. Example sentences. ここは学校です。Here is a school. ここは学校です。トイレはそこです。The toilet is there. トイレはそこです。図書館はあそこです。The library is over there. 図書館はあそこです。駅はどこですか? Where is the station? 駅はどこですか? The next lesson is ではありません isn't, aren't. See you in the next lesson.